Hello everyone, welcome to MJ Hobby Corner. Martin here from MJ Hobby Corner, and first news, first order of business is I have a new webcam, a new camera for the studio, and that camera will be used here in our little office space. So whenever we do chats, this is where we do it. And also testing a new mic system as well. I know a couple of my past videos had problems with the sound. However, if you do hear any strange sounds coming from this video, it's because Simon, my cat, is down below and he's getting into trouble as always. You might see him jumping around in the background. Never mind him. So, okay, I'm taking this opportunity to do a brief update. Most of the video, I'm going to show a couple of sculptures that I worked on today, and I did a lot of work on them today and yesterday. I'm almost finished them. If you remember from my previous video, I had 4 armatures that I prepared, and 2 of those are already pretty much finished. Okay, so I'm going to show them in the video now. But before we go to the sculptures, I'm going to take the opportunity. Received my first box of 1/72 scale miniatures. There's more boxes coming. Most of them are going to be fantasy, but there are some historical figures coming as well. And these are French cavalry, heavy cavalry. Okay, and it's pretty cool. I will be unboxing these with Julie, hopefully in the next Martin and Julie chat. And then we'll look at these, and then we will also talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing with 1/72 scale miniatures. So it's pretty cool. I'm waiting for the other ones now, waiting for the fantasy ones, and hopefully we'll get them before Julie and I do the chat. So alright, so about these sculptures, that's going to be the next update. We're going to go into my studio video wise, and just check out the figure. I'll talk a little bit about it, and just you guys will then see, you know, all the steps that I took to make them. And these are very strange figures. I think you'll find them to be pretty weird. They're for the game Deepwars, and I got the inspiration because Julie needs a couple of figures for her mermaid warband that she has, and we wanted to start a little like sea goblin warband. Deepwars does have goblins. They're sea goblins. We are using proxies for those figures, and so I needed something interesting for the goblins, you know, and so that's how I was looking through the Blood Reef expansion book for Deepwars, and I saw this picture of a giant crab with these sea goblins all over it, right? So that's where I got the inspiration. I decided, well, instead of the crab that they have depicted, I'm going to make a hermit crab. So I found a seashell. I keep bins of like seashells and things like that because I use them in my terrain, and found a nice looking seashell, and I did the sculpture right from the seashell. So let's go take a look at that now. Okay, so this is the armature that you guys are seeing here, and it was made with a real seashell. And then I just used some resin clay, some Avi's epoxy sculpt, and made the bottom of the crab with that. I also mixed the Avi's epoxy sculpt with green stuff in order to make my main sculpting medium. So here, half the crab is done. You can see like the green stuff on the legs. Before I attach the clay to the legs, I have to take a file and roughen up all of the wire. And I'm using 16 gauge wire for the legs. And then I made like a bouquet of wire, that's what I call it. And then just, when I add clay to the legs, I add in very small amounts and just press it tightly to the wire, making sure there's no air pockets in there. And I make a first layer of very thin clay, right? And then I just build it up slowly, and that's how I make each of the legs. There's also a way that I make the joints. All the joints, I use a tool to mark out my joints, and then just add a little clay to the joints to kind of swell them up a little bit. So this way the joints are nice and highlighted. And that's what I'm doing in this video clip, just adding little bits of clay at a time, filling up the wire. The legs are fully posable even after the clay dries, so I can always fix the pose if I wanted to. Okay, and there I'm just showing some Procreate. I didn't use Procreate for this project. I used only the epoxy sculpt, which I'm showing you there, and that is the hardener. This is a 2-part clay, just like green stuff. All of these resin clays are. Procreate's the same way. So there's a crab, and now I had finished most of the work on the crab. There's some fouling organisms. I put like a sea star and some sponges and all that stuff on the shell. Then the shell had a hole in it, just naturally, and a little hole on top, and so I used that to insert my weapon. And I made the weapon out of like wooden beads and dowels. Deepwars weapons are pretty strange, you know, and they have like these crystals that power them, the ether crystals. So I added that to the end there, used a little bit of green stuff for cabling and stuff. And the crab is almost finished. I just have to add a few more cables to make it more biomechanical. All right. So this in Deepwars is what you would call a biomech. So this is a biomech. That would be the term that they use. And there he is again. And again, the weapon does have some motion. You can move the weapon up and down and around. Usually I do that with all my models. I like to have some motion. And there's some sponges in the back, some more fouling organisms. And all I need to do is add the cabling. So not a bad project. This sculpture is mostly all legs. I added some toothpick spines too to the claws. It's mostly all legs. That's the funny part. So I did another sculpture while I was working on the crab and letting things dry. I worked on a little fish humanoid for Julie. This is for Julie's mermaid army. She needed some kind of deep caller or shaman. And we're kind of making up our own little fish races for Deepwars as proxies. And here's the figure with one of the Deepwars divers. And basically he has a fish body, a fish head. There's a neck, like a fleshy neck, which is a little bit thinner behind the head. And that just gives it some motion, I guess. And here's the biomech with the proxy models that we will be using as sea goblins. These are not actual Antimatter Games models, but we're going to be using them to replace sea goblins. And there's the biomech, the tank. So here's the fish humanoid. I used for the fins. I used Procreate, and I really like Procreate, almost better than green stuff sometimes. And I made a staff with a crystal at the end, and he has some weird hands, some weird arms, and there's also some sponges and things on the base to decorate the base. So this is going to be Julie's deep caller for her mermaid army. And he's going to have a shark companion, which I'm going to be sculpting. And it's going to be a tiger shark. That's what Julie chose, a young tiger shark. So I will be sculpting that next. And that figure will be attached to this figure. In the sense that if one goes into a game, the other one will also be in the game. Here's the mech, the biomech with a coat of gray primer. I couldn't wait and just spray painted it just to see it, you know, in one tone and see how it looks. And, you know, I like it. It's pretty cool. And this could be used in any game, you know, not only Deepwars, but it definitely fits the whole Deepwars thing, you know. So yeah, a new biomech and with sea goblins. So I'm going to paint this next. That's the next thing, is to paint it. And also the fish humanoid. I'll be painting that as well, probably in colorful colors. I'm going to choose the fish and just try to mimic that pattern. And it's going to be a coral reef critter, so, you know, it'll be colorful. Yep. So there it is, folks. Those were the two sculptures I finished. And there I am in my working area. Alright guys, well that's it. That's all I have for you guys today. We hope to get a game in this weekend and have the Martin and Julie chat, the new Martin and Julie chat, out by Sunday if we can. We hope to. If not, we'll make another video and just do the little unboxing separately. Alright folks, we still have a lot to talk about, so stay tuned and have a great night.